In the previous module, I discussed how important our minds are when it comes to birth. It is extremely important to know what you're going into to an extent. We know that birth is somewhat unpredictable, but there are things that you can control when it comes to your birth that will help you feel safe and comfortable during the entire process. So, one of those things is knowing where you're going to give birth and who is going to be there, who is going to be supporting you and caring for you during the entire process. It is important to understand that different providers have different ways of doing things. For example, a doctor or OBGYN is going to have a different way of managing your labor and your pain in labor, for example, than a midwife and a doula would. There's just fundamental differences as far as their education and protocols that are required of in a hospital setting, for example, that are going to change the way things are done. So if you've thought about what your ideal birth situation is, it's important to pick where you're going to give birth and who's going to be supporting you based off of what what aligns with what you actually want. For example, for me, I knew that I wanted to have an unmedicated, natural, physiological childbirth. So for me, I felt most safe being at home because I knew that I could have a midwife that would align with everything that I was looking for in the experience versus giving birth in a hospital setting. So thinking through those things ahead of time and planning will really help, because the last thing we want is for something completely unexpected that really, we should have expected to happen, because obviously there's things in birth that are unpredictable, but you don't want to be blindsided by something that is, pretty routine that could have been avoided. So you go into that fight and flight response and create that fear, tension, and pain cycle. Something I found particularly interesting when learning about childbirth was how other animals, or mammals specifically, give birth. And all animals will look for a safe and quiet place to birth their babies. And in times of trouble, like another animal maybe that's like coming after them while they're giving birth, they can actually get up and move, and it will stall their labor. That's a natural response for them to be able to get away from danger. And humans are really the same way. So if you are comfortable in your environment with who you have around you, the chances of your labor progressing, I don't want to say super quick because it doesn't mean that it'll be super quick, but progressing and not stalling is more likely than if you are frightened or uncomfortable. The natural response that we will have is for our labor to stall.